What is up, new community students? Happy Sunday. Hey, today I'm gonna shoot straight, okay? You right now watching this, you can change the world. You can change the world. If you're a little bit like me, I know that there has to be a little fight in you, a little fire, like maybe you're a little hot inside, and something inside you is a little bit uncomfortable about the way that the world is headed. You want things to be right. Something inside of you wants change. You wish things were different. But what can you do? How can little old me change the world? Let me tell you how. It's impossible to tackle big issues without God. God is bigger than our issues, so we need God on our side. Now the question's different, right? But before we look to others to be the solution to the problems, why don't we start with ourselves? How can you be used of God to be a solution to the issues that bother you, to the things that are wrong, to the things that should change? Tough question to answer. Here's the thing though, we don't have to answer it alone. Matter of fact, I want to take you to a story found in the Bible of a man who I believe we can learn from his example. He can serve as an example for us this Sunday of the type of person that God can use to change the world. Y'all ready? And it's not just can use, but he does use. There are a type of person, a type of people who God is looking for to change the world. 2 Chronicles 16:9 says this, "For the eyes of the Lord, they search the whole earth to give strong support to those whose hearts are fully committed to Him." Let's go a little deeper, okay? If you want to change the world, if you want to be used by God, your resume has to have a couple of different things on it, okay? Matter of fact, I want to take you to Acts 10, verse 2. It says this. I want to take you and we're going to analyze the life of one of our Bible buddies, okay? This is our boy, Cornelius. How can you even fail at life when your name is Cornelius? Like at that point, if your name's Cornelius, you're just set out to win, right? I mean, incredible name, right? So who was Cornelius? What does the Bible say that his resume looked like? Glad you asked. Acts chapter 10, verse 2 says this, "Cornelius was a devout man, one that feared God with all his house, who was very generous towards the poor and prayed to God always." This was the man that God was looking for. In fact, history tells us that Cornelius was God's chosen, the very first Gentile to become a Christian. He was the first outsider to become a Christian. God handpicked this guy and said, wow, that's who I'm looking for. I want him to serve as a role model for every other Gentile who would become a Christian. You and me, we are Gentiles. Anyone who's not of Jewish descent in biblical times were considered to be Gentiles. So we've got something to learn from this guy, right? So what does it take to be used by God? We have to be devoted. Devoted. It says Cornelius was a devout man, one that feared God. Okay? That's our message today. If you're going to take anything away from today, it's this. To be used by God to change the world, you've got to be devoted. To be used by God to change the world, you've got to be devoted. Right where you are. Let's get real weird, okay? Let's get real weird, okay? Say it back to me. Right there, look at your phone, be weird. I ain't watching you, okay? Say this. I've got to be devoted. I've got to be devoted. Why, Alex? Why? Because otherwise, God can't really use you to change the world. At least not for the better. If you want to make things worse, just keep doing you. As humans, we have a tendency to mess things up, but God never messes anything up. And he's looking for people who are devoted to him so that he can change the world through them for the better. If you want to be used by God to change the world, you've got to be devoted. Cool. Alex, I get it. I've got to be devoted. What does that even mean? What do I have to do? I'm really glad you asked. Let's look back at our boy's resume. Cornelius was a devout man. What made him devout? What does it mean to be devout? What made him devout? 4 things. 4 things that I want you to notice from his life. From the description we get of him in the Bible, 4 things stand out. Cornelius was devoted because, number 1, he understood the importance of prayer. He understood the importance of prayer. It says that he prayed to God always. Let me ask you this. If you want to be used by God to change the world, do you pray? If so, what do you pray? Is it, oh God, would you send me a cute boyfriend so that my Instagram could look better? Or are you praying, God, help me to be part of the solution to world hunger, to poverty, to social injustice, to racism in America? God, use me to change the world. Prayer is important. Devoted people are people who know the importance of prayer. And not only do they know the importance of prayer, they practice a habit of praying big prayers. Number 2, Cornelius understood that prayer was important, but fasting was equally important. If you don't know what fasting is, simply look it up on Google. What is Christian fasting? You can read all sorts of guides out there. Fasting is a particular moment of our lives where we deny our bodies of food. That means we go without eating and we give ourselves over to prayer. Catch this. Devoted people who God uses to change the world, know the importance of prayer and fasting. And they practice the habit of fasting. Got it? Cool. Prayer, fasting. Number 3, Cornelius was someone who lived a holy lifestyle. I just dropped the H word, holy. That's one of the most misunderstood words in our culture. I believe that. And what does it mean that he lived a holy lifestyle? Holy, simply put, means set apart. Set apart. Catch this. Your parents, every so often, they bring out a special set of plates when people come over to your house. Like, y'all don't eat with these plates regularly. If your mama catches you eating on her special plates on a regular occasion, you're getting a whooping. Why? Those are special plates. They're set apart. They are special. They're only to be used when guests are coming over to the house. Our lives should be like that. There are things that because you are a Christian, because I am a Christian, because you are someone who wants to be used by God to change the world, because you want to be devoted to God, you can't be involved with. There are things that your friends are doing, they're posting on social media, that you should have 0 part in. That ain't you. You're set apart. Drugs, alcohols, parties, hookup culture, all of that ain't you. That's for people who God isn't using to change the world. That's for people who aren't devoted. You're different. There are things that you stay away from because you're devoted to God. Number 4, last one, but an important one, okay? Cornelius was known as a generous person. Generous how, Alex? He was generous towards poor people. Let me make it simple, okay? He gave money to poor people. He served poor people. He helped poor people. He was a helper to those less fortunate. He went out of his way to go the extra mile for poor people. Here's our lesson. Devoted people who are used by God to change the world are generous people, specifically towards poor people. Okay? God looks down and he's looking for people to change the world through. But here's what the job takes, okay? Your resume needs to look like Cornelius. Let me ask you your job interview right now. This is me and you. We're having a job interview. Are you a person of prayer? Number 2, are you a person of fasting? Number 3, are you living a set-apart lifestyle? Number 4, are you generous financially towards poor people? That's the job description for the person that God's looking for to use to change the world. Someone who's devoted, all right? That's all I got for you today, all right? It's been awesome to share this with you. If you were blessed by this today, drop me a comment. It blesses my heart to see those comments, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Look in the mirror this week and remind yourself, you're called to be devoted. Why? Because to be used by God to change the world, you've got to be devoted. Love y'all. See you next week, everybody.